Hi everybody, this is a YouTube video describing my second contract renewal, and I thought doing a YouTube video might be a better way to go because then you can actually see the parts of the contract renewal as I talk about them. My biggest piece of advice for your contract renewal is to check in with your department. Each department has different expectations for the number of pages, what should be included and what should not be included in your contract renewal. This is a social science contract renewal, and I will point out the parts that I added in for myself, and also I'll point out the parts that absolutely should be included in a contract renewal. The way I see a contract renewal, it's really broken into three parts, whether it's designated as Part 1 or Part 2 or Part 3. I see it as first a description of what you believe in as a teacher and how you plan to get there and support your students at Leeward Community College. Then the second part is your evidence of were you successful at your at reaching your philosophy of teaching and making sure your students are successful. Then the third part is how will you improve on what didn't work and what you plan to do to help yourself as an instructor, your college, and your community. And that's basically a framework in which you can think about how you organize your contract renewal. So basically, I'll take you through each part, and in this particular one, I included an introduction in Part 1, and this just gives you a little more background about who I am and where I'm coming from, but it's not something that's expected to be included in your contract renewal. I even included my little picture there, just so they would recognize who I might be. But most important that is required is your teaching philosophy. And in the teaching philosophy, you would need to absolutely connect it to the type of student we have at Leeward. And so we all know that Leeward is diverse with students of various ages, backgrounds, life experience, and skill levels. And what you'll want to do is how does your philosophy connect and support those students? So I came up with three parts for my philosophy, and I talk about those individually over the course of 2 pages. And while I'm talking about those, I specifically mention some of the things that I've done to help support my philosophy. And so the reader will get a great sense of everything you've done in the college in the first 3 pages and could stop there. But in the second part, under 1B, we start talking about what evidence shows that I was successful at supporting those students. I included my course assessment SLOs, which is not required for folks at this time. I basically did that because I'm involved in assessment, and I know this is coming down the pipeline anyway, but I basically wanted to see how well my students doing in the SLO, and then how can I improve them to get better. So one of my courses, they did very well. Another course, they did not do as well as I'd like them to, so I talked about what were some of the things that I could do to improve those scores. And so this demonstrates to the contract renewal committee that you know, not everybody's perfect and that you continue to grow as an instructor. And I don't do it in a self-deprecating way. I do it in a very positive, challenging way, so it shows that I'm growing. I don't get down on myself or respond negatively. Then I actually give the evidence or perception of whether my students are perceiving that we are doing well. So I talk about that briefly, but I connect it to my philosophy, and I actually give quotes that support each part of my 3 parts of my philosophy. So I do that, and then I talk about, do my peers actually believe the same thing? So I give a brief overview of who was in my peer evaluation, and I try to get folks that are in my department, but for my tenure application I'll make sure I get folks that are outside of my department, and also maybe the Leeward Community College, maybe somebody from Kapiolani who is in the same field as I am. And then I give basically quotes to show that I am also they notice that I am supporting my students and my teaching philosophy. Then in Part 2, I talk about, well, what am I doing to improve? And so I talk about my curriculum development, the courses that I've taught and developed. I talk about what I've done as a professional, what types of workshops did I go to become better, what kind of educational courses did I take to get better, and so on. And then I talk about, well, what did I do for the college itself? So I talk about my own presentations that I did for my program and for the college. And I also tie it in, as I look at my philosophy, as the entire school. So for example, if I joined the Innovation Center for Teaching and Learning, I didn't do that just to join a committee. I did that because I knew that this would be a great way to train other teachers in educational techniques. So that would help their students, what I would call the student skill. And that would be part of my philosophy. So I don't just join committees just to join them. I join them because they're going to help me reach the students. And then I talk about what I did in community and professional service. And I realize this is a lot more difficult to connect to your philosophy. But if one of my philosophy is to create a safe and positive learning environment, then going and supporting making strides against breast cancer is a way for joining the community together. And so I can connect it in some way in my own head about why I would do that. If you're doing your second contract renewal, you'd want to respond to any comments that you made, that the folks made in your first contract renewal. And then what I also did was I listed my goals of what I would be doing in my second contract renewal and my 10-year document. And so that particular one would be under my professional development plan, which is found in the appendix. So here's a brief overview of that. Make that a little bit bigger. So I listed what I did with my first contract renewal under new courses taught, why I was doing that, did I meet when my target is, and did I meet that, and then I also add in what are my new goals. And then I do that for my professional development activities, teaching techniques, and new instructional materials and course revisions, other projects that I have going on, and my program, college, and community service. And so what that basically does is it forces me to have to make connections about where I'm going and think about that in a continual framework over the course of several years rather than just doing something over the course of a month or so. I know that's a little overkill, but it helps me also be clear about why I'm doing stuff. So that's basically the parts of this particular contract renewal. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.